Hello, good morning. I don't know how to start. I'm kind of nerve-wracking right now because I'm kind of nervous. And it's kind of showing right now, but I'm speaking on innovation and emerging technology in innovations and emerging trends in digital media. Sorry. I'd like to start with the promised land of new media. Modern computing technology and data have been controlled by software and result in a range of new emerging technologies. Because of this new media, the technology is digital, networkable, interactive, dense, compressed, and impartial. This is an example for people when we're getting older, we realize that we don't like to do things anymore. These are people playing Wii inside the house, so they're playing golf, bowling, and then enjoying themselves, because there tends to be a problem where people feel that because they're older, they can't get along with technology, which is not the case. Over the next few minutes, I'll be discussing new approaches to content creation, including apps and emerging technology. I will also comment on these approaching the human requirements of media. Emerging media. I visualize the development of, content velocity over the near future. The development of new technology and a significant wider range to individuals as enterprise. I'll start off with the first example of human-computer interaction. Human-computer interaction, also haptic technology, is the interaction between humans and computers. I think that this will be significant in the fact that a lot of people starting to have more time and more personal space with them computers, and they want to have an emotional connection with their computer. Haptic technology will provide a sense of touch and intimacy with your computer, in the sense that it allows you to, whatever you see on your computer virtually, be able to touch in the physical world. Which is kind of interesting, because if you notice, there's a lot of people that you can't get them from in front of them computer. It's like them literally in the computer, and there's nothing that you can say to them that will connect at no point. I'll gladly share two examples. The first example, as Kenya was talking about earlier, the fact that a lot of people also becoming intimate with them car, because them car getting smart. Your car will be able to basically know how you're feeling on a day, and also how you feel if you drink too much liquor when you're out on a Friday night or a Saturday night. Currently, the video that I'm going to show you is a video from MIT. They're doing an automotive, which they use galvanic skin response, which is the finger, to figure out your stress levels and how you feel on a certain day. Also, they used a camera for facial recognition, so they could know if you were depressed, happy, sad, or if you were in a deep train of thought. Creating another problem. Also, if there was a situation,
which is usually associated with stress. Voice features such as pitch and volume, as well as measuring touch and
video take forever. Sorry about that.
Examples. Sensors on the door handle, which is usually associated with stress. Voice features such as pitch and volume, as well as measuring touch once emotional information is measured.
Paint could be used to change the colour of the car, indicating that it may be better to keep a larger separation.
This information could help design better cities and maximise the well-being of its citizens.
So as I was saying earlier, the sensors in the steering wheel pick up from skin, from the galvanic skin response, will allow the car to figure out your mood. So therefore, the sensors will tell you if your stress levels and trigger what type of music. So for instance, you're in a mood where you're about to fall asleep, the radio will change and the music will get high octane. If there's a situation where you're angry, the music will get calmer and keep you regulated. Also, if there's a situation where you're driving and you don't turn on your headlights, for instance, which happens to a lot of us, sometimes we go in the night and we're rushing and we don't want to get in any issues or want to reach home at a certain time so we don't late, we tend to leave the light off. The car will correct this because it will realize that you just literally just jump in your car stressed and you want to go home right now, so you're not paying attention. The next thing I'll be talking about is feelable TV, which is a very big thing for me because eventually there will be a situation where I will be in my 80s, God willing, I don't go blind. Although Mr. Lafayette is here. There'll be a situation where you can feel, not necessarily, well, if you can't see it, you can actually feel it. So if somebody tell you on TV that, well, there's a cloth on the TV, you can actually take your finger and touch it. And it actually feels like a piece of cloth because of the algorithms. So in the current video, them showing you the mechanisms using a Falcon Nova, which is that instrument that you just saw, where you put your finger in the middle of the device and move it around. In that case, they're using an iPod as the method because they can use the vibrations from the haptic and allow you to feel the situation or feel what you're touching at this moment. Oh, that's another problem. There's a camera that they use that's a 8K. It shoots at 8K, which is a lot of data, so therefore it has to have a computer on it at all times. Which kind of is another issue because if your computer can't run, if you don't have enough processing power in your computer, you'll have a major issue because it will just keep bucking and itching and glitching and stopping. Then I'll speak about cloud computing. This is the new thing that everybody gravitates into, which is a universal infrastructure of in and out, network trafficking synchronized and media products transcoded in real time. And here's a diagram of it. Currently in this diagram, that's a human chaos, which basically somebody stand up talking to a computer screen. It goes into the cloud, which is using internet, which is using mobile, and goes across to the video attendant. They have the conversation, and it is managed by the media car system. The usage in the US market for cloud media service, iTunes is currently the biggest one, and iCloud. Then there's Dropbox, Amazon Cloud Drive, Google Drive, Ultraviolet, which is a smaller one, Samsung Mobile Hub, OnLive, LG Cloud, and Gakia. Rich Media. PC Magazine PC Magazine lists it as information consisting of any combination of graphic, audio, video, and animation, which is stored and bandwidth intensive than the ordinary text. So therefore, where it go? Oops, sorry. And then after that, there are apps there's an app problem. Apps becoming smaller and more targeted. Developers will create and expand user models with better video, sound, and graphics. Built-in application, user interfaces, optimized content on multiple levels. Ways to snap apps together, create larger apps. Basically what people are doing is that they're piggybacking off each app. As David was talking about earlier, that you create one set system and then it becomes an ecosystem. So everybody, okay, so for instance, I want a map from Google. I'll tap into Google API. If I want, say, for instance, Twitter, I'll tap into Twitter and then make my API get that information. So when you put in your information, whatever information I need for whatever my app doing, for instance, David app doing the harvest, his app will be taken from other stuff. Future trends in use of rich media. Email, video, email, video iPads, and more mobile phone. Because the content becoming, people trying to get the content more richer, rich media will become more prevalent. Because the more interactive the content become, is the more labor intensive the device will end up having to be, or dealing with, I should say. Emerging trends will facilitate the strategy. These trends include pre-processing, Java MV frameworks, SVG plus JavaScript and Canvas, single-page web apps, which are becoming very huge right now, because they're calling them web-responsive apps. Android, web interface, and Node.js. In the aspect of Android, Android is an interface, which is a very good interface because it's open source, and then also it is cheaper. In the case of iOS, there's a lot of premises and a lot of red tape when you're dealing with iOS. For instance, if you're making an app for iOS, you have to send it in 2 weeks before to wait. And then also you have to be a developer, so you have to pay a developer fee to become a developer in order to use iOS. In Android, you don't have to do that. You just build it up, put it on the market, and if it float, it float. If it sink, it sink. In the aspects of jobs, there's been a big change in jobs for the sense that human resource people have to figure out how best a job that, say for instance, the job becoming merged. So a lot of the fields become in one field. So for instance, if you know audio, you know video, you know web, you know design, a company would rather take you on as an individual unit versus hiring more than one person to do this. Because one, it's economically viable to the pocket of the company, and two, it said something about it. I don't really know what it said, really. Because, I mean, everybody, the fact that you have more than one skill don't necessarily mean that you're good. I mean, in context. I mean, I think you must be a master of all, but a master of one. Like, you must know all trades, but you must master one. And, I mean, that's creating a situation right now. The biggest job, or the three biggest jobs that a lot of people not really paying attention to are the interface designer and developer of UIs, which is user interface. These are the people like David who conceptualize and Russia and that concept. Well, I can say everybody on the panel really, except Carly. That allows you to figure out what your whole outlook going to look at. Because think about it. If your content is not unique, what's the point of me getting your content? Because really and truly, if everybody making the same app and it look the same, might as well I just pick one out of the batch. So I just go eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Oh, this one pretty. I like the color. And that's the situation. With the UI developer and designer, that person understands the concept of how can I make my design clean and simple, but on the background, hard and complex. Because that's the situation. If, for instance, there's a thing called Magistro, which makes videos, and really and truly, it's an online editing software, and it allows you to edit, but it's so simple that when you see it, you'll be like, oh yeah, I'm going to drag this here, I'm going to drag this here, I'm going to drag that here, and then I'm going to make a video. In due fact, the back end of it is so complex that it's ridiculous, because you have to figure out, okay, how I'm going to get this video, how I'm going to transcode this video, how I'm going to chop up this video, how I'm going to make the credits for this video, how I'm going to make the opening for the video, and then I'm going to have to compress it into one compressible source to push out, which is kind of hard and annoying in a sense. Creative technologies, which is kind of me, which is kind of interesting because it's weird, because when you're doing creative technology, you have to figure out, one, you have to be good, you have to learn design. Two, you have to learn a little bit of coding, so you have to kind of know how to hack certain things, which is kind of immoral, but it makes sense, because if you can use the technology to create something new with existing technology, what's the point? I mean, you're just literally just sitting down looking and say, oh, that's a nice bulb. What color does that bulb go? Blue, green, red? No, it don't serve a purpose. So you have to figure out a way to change it. Also, you have to be able to, as the middleman, to tell the graphic designer that, well, I understand what you're saying, but the code are having this problem because all these things that you put in here are kind of complex for him to code. Or there's a situation where you have to say to them, say, well, the sound man don't understand what you're doing because, or the video man don't understand what you're doing because you have this issue and that issue. And the situation, as a creative designer, you're supposed to know all technical jargons and be the middleman so you can tell them that, well, this is the situation here, but you need to understand that this situation is leading to this situation and you're creating a problem. And then the interactive product designer, which is kind of a new one, because in the situation of the interactive product designer, okay, in the aspect of the interactive product designer, you become a product designer where you have to build a product, but then you have to figure out how your product will interact with the customer on a technology aspect. So this is your mind, as everybody on this creative panel looks. And then you have expose your ideas and be creative. The little things make the real changes, which is kind of interesting because a lot of things that people think wouldn't make a change can make a change. So anything that you need to speak about, just speak about it. Or anything that you want to visualize it, just visualize it. And there'll be someone there to help you to do it if you can't do it. If you cannot do it yourself, sorry. And a very interesting thing. A lot of people have brains, but them don't use it. So they need to use a brain. Because think about it, anybody in this room can be the next it person. It don't necessarily mean that because I went to school, I'm going to be the it person. Anybody can be the it person. That's my credit.